There's three coaches that if you ask anybody, they're the names that pop up when we say who is in a situation where they really need to win this year or that's it. It's Billy Napier at Florida. It's Sam Pittman at Arkansas. It's Dave Aranda at Baylor. In all three of those cases, they've got to win. But I do think in all three of those cases, if they do win, they're okay. They're going to be okay. We'll start with Billy Napier. That's the highest profile one. We talk about Florida's schedule all the time. He's getting sued by Jaden Rashada. We've talked about Billy Napier a ton over the last few weeks because of all of the stuff around him. The thing about Billy Napier, though, is he can make this all go away by having a good season. Now, he can't make that lawsuit go away. That will be what it'll be. The Rashada thing happened, and they have to deal with the fallout of that. But it doesn't necessarily affect him going forward, especially because the NCAA rules regarding NIL, they're enjoined by the courts right now. So I think if Florida had wanted to, if those NCAA rules still existed, they could have Jeremy Pruded Billy Napier, because based on the text messages we saw in the lawsuit, there's a recruiting staffer named Marcus Castro Walker who was negotiating basically Jaden Rashada's deal, which would have been in violation of the NCAA rules at the time. And they can tag anything that a staffer does to the head coach. So they could have Jeremy Pruded him if those rules existed. Tennessee and Virginia, the states suing the NCAA, make that impossible. So that's not on the table. Florida doesn't want to fire Billy Napier. At the end of this season, it would cost like $26 million. I believe half of that would be due within, I think, the first couple of months. That is not a great situation. That's a massive upfront payment combined with a massive payment that you'd have to make to hire somebody else. So Florida does not want to do that. Florida would love for things to work with Billy Napier. And I think you talk to people around the program, around Gainesville, everybody likes Billy Napier. They like him as a person. They just need him to win more games. So I do think it's possible for him to do that. Now, we've talked about a few times, what would it take? And the thing is, the schedule is so hard that it lowers the threshold for what it takes, I think, to stay. Because I think if you go 7-5 against this schedule, you're probably okay with that. Now, if the 5 losses are by an average of 35 points, that's maybe something different. But if you can win 7 against this schedule, my guess is the 5 losses are not by that much either. If you're 8-4 against the schedule, you are perfectly fine, because that means you did beat somebody that probably was competing for a college football playoff berth, and that is the goal, to be able to do that. So that's the path to stay. That's the path Billy Napier needs to take to stay. Now, it's certainly not going to be easy, because I think that early season schedule, while it offers the best chances to win games, it also offers some chances for crippling losses, like losing to Miami off the bat. From a psychological standpoint with the fan base, would be awful. Even though Miami could be one of the better teams in the country, at least from a roster standpoint, they are. We don't know. We need to see them do it on the field, but we think they are going to be pretty good. So even losing to them isn't the end of the world. Texas A&M, though, that's one of those that I think, if you ask the average Florida fan, they're marking that as a W. I don't look at that as an automatic W. I look at that as a coin flip. I saw what Mike Elko did year 1 at Duke. He was working magic with a roster that wasn't nearly as good as what he inherited at Texas A&M. He's got a quarterback in Connor Wigman. They went and got Nick Scorton, one of the best edge rushers in the country from Purdue. Like, they're going to be pretty good. Are they going to be competitive for a college football playoff berth right off the bat? I don't think so. But could they come to the Swamp and win? Yeah. So you got to win that game if you're Billy Napier. The UCF game, absolutely critical for Billy Napier to win. You cannot let Gus Malzahn bring the Knights into the Swamp and beat you. That's the one from a practical and a psychological standpoint. That would be that, because you can't lose to UCF at home if you're Florida. That's the psychological piece of it. But the other piece of it is UCF could be a very good team in the Big 12. We'll see. Their offense is going to be very good. Whether their defense comes around is the big question mark. But if their defense is solid, you're talking about a team that could actually compete for the Big 12 title. But compared to the teams that are on the back half of Florida's schedule, UCF is not that good. And if you can't beat them, what's going to happen when you play Texas and Georgia and Ole Miss, Florida State? That's the issue. So that's what Billy Napier's got to do, because he's got DJ Lagway, the quarterback everybody's excited about, but he's got Graham Mertz ahead of him, who's a good, steady, rock-solid influence, the person you want. He's the Alex Smith you want your Patrick Mahomes to sit behind, if we're gonna use that analogy, though I don't want to put that on DJ Lagway right now. But that's what you've got to be thinking about. You just got to one at a time, get those W's. I even think there's a path at 6-6. I think it depends on the 6 losses and what they look like. But I think there's a path. Because like I said, they don't want to fire him. It's not a great situation. There's not an obvious person that you go after. The people you might go after that would make the fan base happy are very expensive. Very, very expensive. Ye old Bast, I want to see you have to do as good as possible as a fan. But regardless of the season, I believe we need to see 2025 with Lagway at QB1, or else there's no point. Yeah, but here's your thing. If they go 4-8 or 5-7, Napier's kind of told you who he is at that point. I don't think it matters. You had the number 4 pick in the draft at QB1 in year 1 under Billy Napier. They went 6-6. So he's got to show he can win, period. It doesn't matter whether he wins with DJ Lagway or somebody else. He needs to show he can win, period. Because if he can't at least crawl over 500 or crawl to 500 with these guys, it's not going to get you what you want with DJ Lagway either. But you can go 7-5 with Graham Mertz against this schedule, or 8-4 with Graham Mertz against this schedule. Then that gets you excited about what things look like with DJ Lagway. John Tudor's just nasty. I could see Florida going 1-12. Thank God they play Tennessee. I'm not sure here you're trying to insult more, Florida or Tennessee with that one. That's diabolical right there. Diabolical. That game's in Knoxville though, so the curse is only in Gainesville for the Vols. They've won some in Knoxville, so I don't know that the curse applies in this particular case. Okay, let's move on to Sam Pittman. Sam Pittman, another person that the people around the program would love to see succeed. They don't want to fire him. But if you look at the way things have gone, they certainly seem to be headed that direction if Arkansas doesn't turn things around. So what do you do? This is a very interesting situation. Unlike the Billy Napier situation, where he's still very much in control of things. He's revamped his staff in a way that he wants to. He didn't get forced into anything that he didn't want to do. Like Napier's still going to call plays, which is his choice and his prerogative. Pittman got an offensive coordinator put with him who used to be the head coach at the program, who was fired in a very ignominious fashion, but not because he was losing. Bobby Petrino, the last coach to be truly successful at Arkansas, is the offensive coordinator for the Razorbacks this year. If that's not hey, if Sam doesn't get it done, we slip Bobby as the interim. If he wins a couple games, we can have Bobby as the head coach again. That's what that is. So Sam has to work his way out of this. Here's where that starts. Well, obviously, you don't lose to Arkansas Pine Bluff, but I don't think they're going to do that. But week 2, they're going to Stillwater. They're going to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is one of the best teams in the Big 12. They bring Ollie Gordon, the second back. Dr. Alan Bowman is still playing quarterback there. They are very similar to the team that played in the Big 12 title game last season. That's a game, if you can go in and win, you can get a lot of forward momentum. Be very helpful. Would change things. Arkansas has made some changes. KJ Jefferson, he went to UCF. He's going to play for Gus Malzahn. Talon Green comes from Boise State. Remember, we saw Talon Green lead Boise State to the Mountain West title at the end of last season. Remember, they fired Andy Avalos mid-season, Boise State did. And they rallied, and Talon Green played really well down the stretch. Ashton Jeanty, also a huge part of that, of course. But this is one where you got to win at Oklahoma State. You may have to go to Auburn and win. And I've said, look, Auburn is going to be in a very interesting position because they've got Oklahoma coming in Oklahoma's first SEC road game. They've got this Arkansas game. These are both games of Jordan-Hare, where the other team really, really needs to win, and Auburn can crush some dreams. I think Auburn's going to be better in year 2 under Hugh Freeze. Like, for Arkansas to have any chance, they got to win games like this. They obviously you have to win in Starkville. But the rest of the SEC schedule is brutal. Tennessee, LSU, Texas, at Missouri. I don't know if you're winning those games, even if you're pretty good. So that's the part where Sam Pittman's like, he's got to win one of those, I think, to keep his job. But everybody would like that, I think. I think everybody around Arkansas would like to see him stay. But it's going to require him, just like Billy Napier, to win some games we don't expect him to win. Now, I feel like we've seen Sam Pittman do that. We have yet to see Billy Napier do. Well, maybe we did. The Utah game, year 1 for Billy Napier. I think that was one. I guess we didn't know what to expect, but that's one I would have probably picked Utah at the beginning of the season. So that one is probably it for Napier. But Pittman has got to win 1 or 2 of those and then hold serve on all the games that Arkansas is either the better team or it's a coin flip. Like, you probably got to go to Stillwater and win. And that's going to be very difficult. So, tough situation, but it's doable. It's doable. Now, let's look at Dave Aranda at Baylor. Dave Aranda, the only one of these coaches that we're mentioning, who's won the conference at his school. They won the conference at Baylor in 2021. That, of course, engendered a lot of goodwill. That goodwill is mostly gone right now. So what has Baylor got? What do they have to do? Be competitive in the Big 12. The thing about the Big 12 is there's a lot of teams that can compete for the conference title. We're not looking at Baylor as one of those teams. It has to insert itself in that conversation. Can it do it? We're going to find out. Air Force as a non-conference game. Don't like that. Don't like that one at all. That's a tough one. And then they got a lot of the best of the Big 12. They got to go to Utah. They have to play Oklahoma State. They get them at home. They have to go to West Virginia. They have to go to Iowa State. It's not a pleasant road schedule in the Big 12. They have to go to Colorado also. We don't know yet what Colorado is going to be, but that's one of those. If I'm looking at Colorado's schedule, I'm probably penciling that in as a W for Colorado. You've got to win those games if you're Dave Aranda. Like, if you're Dave Aranda, I'm looking at the schedule. Let's say we'll say you're going to lose to Utah, you're going to lose to Oklahoma State. The other games are all winnable. They're also all losable. Maybe at Houston is one where you should just go in and win. But like, you're going to Lubbock. That's not going to be easy. Ames is not an easy place to play. We just talked about Neil Brown and what they bring back. Kansas, they close the season with them. Lance Leipold has a role in there. Like, this is a very difficult schedule. But like I said, if we're just penciling in, you're definitely like, and I don't even think they're definitely going to lose to Utah or Oklahoma State. But if I were just to say, look at the schedule, put the ones you think are probable L's. Those are the two I'm putting. I'm probably not writing an L next to any of the other games. So Dave Aranda definitely has a chance to pull out of this. He's got Jake Spavital in as his offensive coordinator. Gary Patterson, former TCU coach, working as a consultant, which is wild because the vitriol in that TCU-Baylor rivalry is something to behold. But yeah, I think Dave Aranda has a chance. It's not necessarily going to be easy. But you look at that schedule, there's a lot of coin flip games. If you can win them, you could be okay. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.